Could you imagine living in a city where a serial killer roamed free? In this video, we uncover the haunting truth behind the 1970s case that continues to leave families and friends searching for answers. This is a story that will stay with you long after the credits roll. What do you do when a killer walks among you, strikes without warning, and disappears into the night over and over again? Imagine waking up every day, afraid to walk home alone, looking over your shoulder, wondering if you'll be next. This wasn't the plot of a horror movie, it was the terrifying reality of a quiet American city in the 1970s. Paralyzed by fear and haunted by a killer who seemed to vanish into thin air after every strike, they called him many names: the Phantom, the Midnight Butcher, the 70s Shadow, but no one ever caught him. No face, no fingerprints, no motive, just bodies. This is the unsolved mystery of a serial killer who outsmarted an entire police force and disappeared like smoke. But one buried clue, one overlooked detail, might finally bring justice. Stay with me. The year was 1974. The place? Crestwood, a small, close-knit town in the Midwest, known more for its apple festivals and Sunday parades than for bloodshed. But that would all change in the summer of that year. It began with Julie Sanders, 22, a university student found strangled in her apartment. No forced entry, no sexual assault, just a single rose placed on her chest and a red thread tied around her finger. 2 weeks later, Mark Whittaker, a 31-year-old accountant, was discovered in a similar pose, except this time the rose was black and the thread blue. By the time the third body turned up, a young woman named Elena Park, a schoolteacher. The city was in chaos. 3 murders, each with eerie similarities, but no connection between the victims. No suspect, no evidence, just fear. Police urged residents to stay home after dark. Businesses closed early. Gun sales soared. The streets emptied by nightfall. People whispered in grocery store aisles. Parents kept children inside. Doors were double locked. Crestwood was no longer a town. It was a pressure cooker waiting to explode. The killer left no fingerprints, no fibers, no witnesses. Investigators noticed a bizarre pattern. Each murder happened on the 3rd Saturday of the month. Each victim had a thread tied to their index finger. Each body was left in a carefully staged pose, as if part of a ritual. But here's the twist. The colors of the thread varied: red, blue, green, yellow, and the roses changed to white, black, red. At first, police thought it was a taunt, but a profiler from the FBI, brought in under pressure, had a different theory. The killer sees these murders as art. Each one is a performance, a message. But what's he saying? Worse still, there were no signs of struggle, no screams reported, no security footage. Every victim had let their killer in. Could it have been someone they knew? Someone they trusted? Detective Walter Kinley led the task force, a seasoned officer with 20 years on the force. He had never seen anything like it. Kinley's team chased every lead. They questioned ex-lovers, co-workers, neighbors. They compiled psychological profiles. A few names kept coming up: men who lived alone, had unstable pasts, or were seen near the crime scenes. One man, Harold Bennett, a janitor with a history of mental illness, was arrested after someone claimed he muttered about death blooming like roses, but his alibi held. Another, Michael Graves, a funeral home assistant, was caught stealing from a victim's grave, but had nothing to do with the murders. Each lead ended in disappointment. Then came a break, or what seemed like one. A librarian, Dorothy Miles, called in a tip. She'd seen a man in a brown trench coat sitting outside the library 3 times. Each date matched the night before a murder. Surveillance footage caught a glimpse of someone matching the description, but the quality was too poor for identification. The killer's ritualistic behavior grew more elaborate. In murder number 6, he left a note written in perfect cursive: "The garden grows with blood. Watch for the color next." Analysts tried decoding the message. Garden may reference the roses, color the thread, but it led nowhere. The victims remained seemingly random. Different races, ages, professions, genders. The only thing connecting them was this strange staging posing: flowers, Fred. But then a reporter, Janelle Ruiz, made a chilling discovery. Every victim was born in a different month, matching the color of the thread left on their body, in the order of the rainbow: red January, orange February, yellow March, green April. He was working through the calendar. Ruiz published her theory. It sent Crestwood into hysteria. People born in the next months fled town. Police increased patrols, but it didn't stop the killer. By 1978, After 11 murders, each matching a new month and a new colored thread, the killer vanished. No 12th body. No December.it was as if the phantom had completed his twisted masterpiece and walked away. Decades passed. Files were boxed and archived. Detectives retired. New ones came. Still, no answers. DNA testing brought no matches. The last victim's family pushed for exhumation, hoping for new evidence, but found nothing. Some theorized it was a former police officer. Others believed it was a drifter, someone who moved town to town leaving patterns behind. Others thought it was someone hiding in plain sight, maybe even a politician or community leader. True crime forums dubbed it the calendar killings. Others simply called it Crestwood's curse. But there was one clue, long ignored. In 2023, a podcast named Unmasked Cold Case Files picked up the case. Host Samantha Keller, a former forensic analyst, began digging through the evidence. She found an odd detail buried in the second victim's crime scene photo, a small ink smudge near the body, like the residue from a fingerprint, but invisible to the naked eye. Using modern infrared scanning, she realized it. The print matched an unknown man arrested in 1969 for trespassing in a women's dormitory in a neighboring city. No charges stuck, and the man vanished from the system. But that name, Francis Leroy Mathers, never mentioned in the investigation, never connected, never searched. Keller published the story. The internet exploded. Police reopened the case. Turns out, Mathers had worked as a substitute teacher, bouncing from school to school. Every victim attended or worked in a school where he had taught. Even for a day, he'd been there, watching. But here's the catch. Mathers had died in 1980 in a hit-and-run accident in a small town in Canada. A death ruled accidental. Now it looked far less random. In May 2024, Crestwood police confirmed Mathers as the primary suspect in the calendar killings. DNA from an old comb, preserved by luck in a sealed bag from one of his school dorms, matched skin cells found under the fingernails of the 10th victim. A public memorial was held in Crestwood. 11 chairs, 11 roses, one black thread wrapped around the last chair for the life lost without justice. Until now, families wept. Some felt relief. Others said it wasn't enough, but for the city, it was a closing chapter. A dark legacy finally brought into the light. As for Samantha Keller, she won a Peabody Award for investigative journalism. But she said the real prize was giving names back to the forgotten and faces back to the fear. The calendar killer may have silenced his victims, but he couldn't silence the truth forever. Do you believe justice was served, or was this case solved too late? Comment below, and if you want more haunting, real-life mysteries unraveled like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and turn on notifications. Someone somewhere still remembers the fear, and sometimes remembering is what finally sets us free.